Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News. But in this video, we're going to talk about parenting. I know I've only had a kid for 10 weeks, which seems to be the reason why my Instagram reel offering my opinion about what is good parenting versus bad parenting has taken off to the point where the producers for the Today Show news site, or whatever you want to call it, blog, today.com, have written an article about me. And about the debate that we've spoken about. And because this all spilled out on Instagram, I thought I'd bring it to you guys here on YouTube. We got featured. New parents spark debate after declaring they're going to be a coloring book family at restaurants. So I want to dive into sort of some of the aspects of why this article and this reel have dare I say, triggered so many people. And I do think I'm using the word trigger correctly. Researchers believe that traumatic experiences are stored differently in our brains. And when something reminds us of that traumatic event, our brain and body are responding as if they were in the moments again. A trigger can cause an emotional reaction before a person realizes why they have become upset. Now, I say that to say I'm not surprised that I triggered people. The thesis statement of this Instagram reel was very jarring. It was an off-the-cuff reel, but I knew what I was doing. I was saying, look, I just got out of a restaurant, and I think it's not good to give your kid a tablet at the table at a public restaurant. Now, I want to break down more into that conversation, but first, here's, I guess, 300,000 people watched this. It was also remixed on a popular page that has millions of followers, so lots of people have commented on this, almost 7,000 comments and only 5,000 hearts, which means the ratio shows more people than not were very upset with what I had to say. Have a listen. Oh, hold on, I messed it up. Hold on, let me start over. Here it is. Okay, I don't mean to ruffle feathers with the moms of Instagram or the dads, but I have the opinion that if you let your kid use a tablet or a screen while out to dinner, you're not a bad parent, but it's bad parenting. Thoughts? Now we're only 8 weeks into the parenting game, so we can be very cocky. But
I think I want us to be a coloring book family.
We're gonna be a coloring book family.
I had to color on the tablecloth when we went out.
Yeah, right. Who had to color on the tablecloth? And then all right. So anyhow, I believe the main reason why people got so upset with this is because A, I said I've only been a parent for 8 weeks, and B, I said you're not a bad parent, but it is bad parenting. Now, while I also said I don't want to ruffle feathers, that's normally what you say before you ruffle feathers, I still stand by the opinion that for normal kids, now, we received lots of comments. My son's on the spectrum, and the tablet helps. We've heard from everybody, literally thousands of people. So I'm not saying that for everybody, but for the most part, I stand by the belief that if you had to poll everyone who has their kid on a tablet at a restaurant, that it is not because they're doing math class right now. No, it's because it's in lieu of a babysitter. For the most part, that's my belief. And anecdotally, people will say, well, actually, no, he was FaceTiming his grandma who was in the hospital. Sure. Okay. Yes, absolutely. There are different times when the tool of the tablet should be used. So anyhow, I was reached out to by a very nice lady who is the, let's see here, her name's Rachel right here. She's the author of this article. And we did like a 10-minute interview, and she was very kind, and she very fairly shared my point. People have commented, though, and said, give it 10 years and you'll be mourning the ideal parent you thought you'd be too. Which, to be quite honest, the gatekeeping from parents is beyond wild. And I understand they are battle tested. And I'm a newbie who says, I want to do this. I want to teach my kid 2 languages. I want them to learn how to eat shellfish, whatever. And they're going, oh no. And it's very cynical. And I don't know if cynicism is the best way to affect change, especially considering I think everyone can actually agree at the point I was making, which is that devices are extremely addictive, but we need to all be on the same page about what's so addictive about them. So I posted this last night on my page. Finally cooling off a little to get the outdoor TV fired up while I grill. Gonna be nice come football season. So I had my TV going right here while I grilled probably 60 feet away over here. And then I got a comment from someone saying, LOL, one of those screens you mentioned? And I said, what? I'm laughing that you're so disciplined about not having screens at a restaurant table when your outdoor eating area looks like a literal sports bar. Then again, so they go on and I go, do we not, first of all, before we even move further here, do we not in good faith understand the difference between this in your face versus watching TV somewhere else? And TV does come with different types of addictive traits, right? Some shows are better than others. Some have more of a human sort of approach to them. Wider shot angles, where if you're a baby or someone, which by the way, we do cover in the article that you probably shouldn't be on screens if you are a baby, as far as even watching TV. But there are different levels of addiction when it comes to how you cope with what you see on the screen. I again don't mean to sound like an idiot or an a-hole here. I thought we were all past that. So my response is it's a wildly different scenario. Screens doesn't refer to TV. It refers to iPhones and tablets. And studies show that watching TV isn't the same plopping a kid down with a device. In order to have a fair convo, we need to at least agree on the differences. And so that's why I don't believe it's a fair convo. Because when I say device, people go, well, you're taking a photo of your baby and it's looking at the screen. It's like, okay, this isn't one of those, bird box moments where if you look at the screen, you die. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the act of doom scrolling. And we had some people that commented saying, Dave, you make your living off of people that essentially watch you on their screen. And I don't disagree. But on the different levels of what's addictive, let's say TikTok is just straight a straight bar of chocolate. That's TikTok, right? Well, then I would say, maybe watching a YouTube video is fruit sugar. Okay, sure, we can all love the addictive qualities of a sweet nectarine, but are you going to have 17 nectarines like you're going to eat a full bar and a half of chocolate? Do you understand what I'm saying? Are we all at the same level here? I don't quite think we're there yet. The point I'm making is watching me talk is very similar to watching somebody else talk. So we've got people in our audience that have actually sent me very adorable photos of their kid. We have a grandma who sent me a photo yesterday of her grandson breastfeeding, but over his shoulder, he was looking at me on the screen. I'll tell you this right now. Watching me talk about something randomly for 20 minutes has to be a hell of a lot better for your child than them scrolling on the thing for 20 minutes. Because I'm not, as much as I hate to say it, I'm not that addictive. No one's like, gosh, I got to get me more Dave Neal. I got to, but when you're on TikTok, when you're on Instagram, you spend so much time comparing, despairing, and things like that. So I do think the conversation about devices isn't being had about the different levels of what is addictive. Now, no one is saying, going to see live theater is addictive. Because you just go do it once in a while. And there might be a movie like live theater that you watch once in a while. And it's like a good movie, nice, But then you might be on somebody's 17th hour of scrolling, or I'm going to see what everyone's updates are. And doom scrolling, as we call it, where you just keep on scrolling and doing all that, it doesn't have an end. They don't put an end to the website the way they used to. You used to get to the bottom of a website and it was over. Now it just goes and goes and they're going to give you new things to stay on the app. And if we're not having the discussion about how wildly toxic it is for adults, how can we agree that it's wildly toxic for kids? In the now viral reel, Dave Neal and his wife Tasha Courtney are at a restaurant with their 8-week-old son August, who is nursing quietly under a cover. I have that opinion that if you let your kid use a tablet or a screen while out to dinner, you're not a bad parent, but it's bad parenting. And then, of course, I pan to Tasha, and, I never tell her what I'm about to say before I do it. So Tasha is the least controversial person in the world. She doesn't want to be a part of it, but she says, yeah, she actually in the moment improvised and made it positive and said, I want to be a coloring book family, which is all great. And whether it's coloring books or Legos or doing origami, I think the point is devices take you away from the other people that are in the room, and anything else pulls you into that conversation. So you can be a kid coloring, not listening to what your parents are talking about, but then they can say, oh, Jimmy, that's a great flower you drew, even if it's the ugliest flower you've ever seen. And then Jimmy's like, that's not a flower, that's a stick figure of you. And you're like, well, then why are the thorns going that way? You're a thorny dad. So anyhow, of course, the conversation went, and this summarized a lot of what was said. But I said I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. I got bashed in the comments, and again, not playing victim. People gave me a real good one over. I said, but I think people were triggered because they know I'm onto something and they feel guilty. LOL, you're a newbie. You got no clue what's coming, my guy. Gator Ibrahim, a mom of three, wrote after watching Neal's video. And Gator and I, we spoke on Instagram, and I basically said, yeah, I'm going to use all of the sort of people telling me, talk to me in 2 years. I'm going to use that as motivation to hold myself accountable to what I believe right now. It's almost like this. Let's use a strip club as an example. You better set your boundaries about. No, maybe that's a bad. That's a bad example. Okay, let's use this. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to get your health in order, you need to set boundaries about what food you're going to let into your mouth before you go into a highly addictive place. Like say you go to Epcot Center. If you decide, all right, I'm okay eating some of that sausage schnitzel they have over there in Germantown, that's fine. But if you don't make that sort of boundary for yourself, next thing you know, you're on your seventh waffle there, eating Flutenhaugens, wearing wooden shoes, not knowing where you went wrong. Does any of this make sense? So the point that I'm trying to make here is that I think it's perfectly fair as a new parent to have a strong conviction when I look at something and I go, guys, this doesn't mean that you're bad, but I don't think we're properly discussing this because everyone's so dang tired from being a parent that everyone's just saying, okay, do what you want to do as a parent. I'll do what I want. Sure, okay. But if I walk into a restaurant and the table behind me has 4 kids that are all on their iPad with headphones on, I look at that and it lowers my energy just a little bit because vicariously I'm like, I feel bad. I feel bad that family's not being a family at the dinner table they're all paying to be at. You know what I mean? And people will say in the comment section, but Dave, maybe they were at Disney World all day and they just needed time to relax. Okay, give them a cigarette then if they want to relax. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? And I understand you have to incorporate at different ages, different screens, right? So that you can incorporate maybe certain types of TV at a certain age. And when we travel, does this mean we won't bring a device? No, I think maybe we'll bring a tablet and have it loaded up with pre-approved, National Geographic, Mythbusters for all that, or whatever we think is the right thing for that age, we'll have it pre-approved. But that's not the conversation I think most people want to have. I think most people want to say, you don't know where other people are at here. And I go, okay, fine. But all of the triggering that I've seen proves my point. So after that, I responded, let's see here, with another, I think with this reel, which did not go over well either. I made a video calling out parents who give their kids devices, tablets, iPads at the dinner table at restaurants. And it got several thousand comments, 150,000 people watched it, so I wanted to give an update. Now, there may be situations where it's okay to give your kid a tablet or a device, but what if we switched out device for something else highly addictive, like brownies? You wouldn't just give your kid brownies every time they threw a temper tantrum. So why are we okay giving them devices? I mean, the devices are literally changing the muscular sort of vision of people's eyes because they're so focused in on things. Again, most people's comments were defensive of how hard parenting is. I've only had a kid for 8 weeks. They go, you don't know, to talk to us in a couple years. No, clearly I don't know. But if I'm going to enter this dogfight, which is trying to be a good parent, I'm going to try my best to not get my kid addicted to a device so that they need it like a security blanket. To the parents that say I'm shaming them, I get it. With my last video, I said it's bad parenting. I get it. But like, if you're triggered by something I'm saying here, then clearly there is a big problem. And clearly there is a big addiction with screens. And it's not just with the kids, it's with the parents. And if we can't cope with it, how the hell are they gonna? I think I relate this to growing up with the different addictions I had food-wise and a single mom, and we could eat anything we wanted. It's like she was trying to make money and work, and there were bigger fish to fry. So we didn't have that conversation about healthy food. It's much easier to give your kid a bowl of cereal than it is to have a healthy breakfast. And as parents and as adults, it's not like we're really healthy, but it's about giving them a fighting shot. So I just received a comment in our Patreon from someone who said the level of judgment I experienced and saw since becoming a parent from other parents is insane. Now, look, I understand that in a way I'm judging, but I'm not judging in the sense that I think anybody's bad. I'm judging in the sense that I'm like, are we really having this debate? Like, can we all at least get on the same page that the tablets and devices are really, really bad? So when you search Jonathan Haidt, right, the guy who wrote The Anxious Generation, he talks about the fact that kids almost understand at different levels, whether it's, the level where they get social media, they understand it's bad for them. They feel bad, but everyone's on it. So are we resigned in the year of 2024 to just say, well, everyone's got a Facebook account, we might as well go F ourselves? Or are we going to try to do what's right and maybe, have situations where we go, yonder devices to make sure the phones are absolutely taken out of the hands of kids when they're in school? Because if the phone's in your pocket, it's just as addicting as if it's, it's burning a hole in your pocket. There's a reason with stand-up comedy, a lot of clubs will make you put the phone away, non-negotiable. It's not just about filming somebody or whatever. It's about getting the room in the environment that existed before we were all taken out of it. So again, I just think the response I've gotten from people has proven my point that maybe we're not ready to talk about it because of our own addictions. What I discussed in the today.com article is that, my wife and I, we know our addictions. We have different tools in place to stop ourselves. I don't bring my cell phone into the bedroom. I noticed how much time could possibly be spent. I mean, imagine that. How is a couple supposed to survive if they're on either side of the bed looking at TikToks? Yeah, every once in a while, hey, honey, check this one out. It's great. But honestly, putting an Apple Watch on so that I had my alarm and any proper messages or phone calls that could come in. Because a lot of people say, well, I need my phone on me because what if my work calls me? Sure, but the Atomic Habit book talks about good habits and bad habits. And one way to get over bad habits is to make them a little bit harder for you. So, for example, if you have a bad habit of watching too much TV, then take the AAA batteries out of your remote control. That way you don't just go turn the TV on. But you might go, well, my favorite show's on tonight. Boom, boom. I can put the batteries in and watch the show. But make it a little more challenging for yourself to remove that sort of subconscious I'm bored. I might as well see what, and then we get that dopamine rush, which they are showing the dopamine depletion that happens when a kid is on his device or an adult, it doesn't really matter. That is akin to cocaine. So for all those that say, well, Dave, we're so used to parents shaming each other parents. I get it. I'm not trying to tell someone how to burp their kid. I'm not trying to do any of this stupid stuff. You know how many people have commented me in the 10 weeks I've had a baby telling me I'm doing things wrong? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about let's all get on the same page, which is, if we can all agree these things are highly addictive, maybe restaurants, we should be okay if kids maybe have more ability to run around or have an area. We used to have smoking areas and non-smoking. Let's find restaurants and reward them for being kid-friendly. I can think off the top of my head 10 different restaurants near me where I know we can bring our newborn, and if he cries, nobody's going to care because it's a little bit of a louder environment. I get it's a little bit different with a toddler. I get it's a little bit different with a 5-year-old or so on. I understand all of these things, but isn't that what we signed up for? Isn't that the challenge of parenting we signed up for? I'm assuming I'm going to get comments that agree and that disagree with me. I don't think I'll receive a comment different from any of the several thousand I've already received, in that I kind of understand where people stand on this. So shoot the messenger all you want, but let's keep an eye on our own addictions as adults. Let's see if we can learn to cope with it, and maybe then we can set better boundaries for our family to do the same. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.